Grand Rising, my friends. What it look like, peeps? Hey there to the most beautiful subscribers in not all known reality at this point, but it's easier to count the portions that we are not among the most radiant beings that there are. So it is. If you're new here, join us, jump on in. Feel free to take off your shoes, kick back. Well, hopefully but this may be you getting prepared in the morning. So get you all amped up and ready for the day and the events of what's going on. Couple things I'm gonna touch real quick. Get started. Here's some thoughts I've been having, and we'll get into the regular scheduled broadcasting. The market had a bit of a bounce today. Looked a little bit better. It's down now over the past 24 Bitcoin, but I guess within the last 24 hours it started having some movement. Definitely since the last time I seen you. Bitcoin at 36,564, Ethereum 2,413, Binance Coin 378, Cardano $1.03, Solana 92 cents, XRP 60 cents, Terra 62, Doge 14, Polkadot 18 bucks, Avalanche $67, Shiba Inu 402065. So, market not doing too hot. The stock market is down a lot today. It was down much further. The Dow has a rally near the end of the day. It's been weird. It's like 2 days in a row where it's down by a huge percentage most of the day, and then either go a little bit positive or close to positive by the end of the day. Gold and crude oil are up, so same as Bitcoin. Are people finally making that run to the hedge as a hedge against inflation? Nothing can ever be there. No one knows anything. Oh, with that said, none of what I'm about to say is financial advice, medical advice. Seriously though, some of the things I'm thinking about advice on anything that you can imagine on interior design. Just nothing here. Everything here. I don't even know if it's entertainment. I don't know what. Just leave me alone. And I mangle things, get things wrong, look things up for yourself unless things apply to measures of public health that you should probably listen to experts who have spent years of understanding and just want the best and don't have any ulterior motive in things. Those are the people to look for. So, ETH burns. Where we're gonna go today? Here we're about that positivity and positivity being. There's somebody in your life that you want to reach out to and make them feel special. Write something nice about them down in the comment section, and then forward them this video and say, look what I wrote. Look what I wrote about you in there. It's going to be on the internet forever. I love you. So all the turmoil in the world, yesterday China flew like 34 planes towards Taiwan, and it's just this provocation that what does it accomplish on a world stage? A lot of what I'm about to say is speculation. Like I said, none of this is advice. This is just me thinking some thoughts I had in my head. I'm not gonna be too long about it, but just get my thoughts out with this. Russia wasn't doing too well. Hasn't been for years. Let me start with Russia first, then I'll go to China. Russia, ever since the collapse of the Soviet Union, and Putin has been there as however many years in power, it's always been with that kind of with that yearning to go back to what they were, which is not probably going to happen. Not to, can't see the future, but the likelihood of that is very low. My odds in that would be less than in the 90, less than the 10 percentile of that. So what I think happened in the Ukraine was that, Putin kept doing these pump fakes with it. And now he got to a point where everybody was like, man, you ain't gonna do nothing. Now he feel forced to do something. That's why I think, even though everyone knows it's a horrible idea. Now, if you're going to do it, you got to do it sometime soon, because, in the military strategy, the times to invade Ukraine from that position in Russia are certain times of the year. You got to, not just the weather, as a military person, you got to think of the weather. Right now in the snow, their machines could probably run through. But when supposedly in the springtime, when it's, a lot of rain and mud, it'd be more difficult. Not that they couldn't do it, but it would just add on to the difficulty of the task. So, and also it's easier to defend your land when it's warmer than when it's colder. Not that, the enemy, it makes it hard for the enemy either time. Okay. So I think that's what's happening in Ukraine. We may be forced to see an engagement there, even though every side knows it's silly. What does he gain? If Russia invades the Ukraine and install a leader, it's not going to then everyone's going to be like, OK, everything's normal. Go back. And now we're going to continue with the output as the economic output as a country as they were doing. And just now we go be Russia's best friend. It's going to be a prolonged, protracted civil war inside that country. It would destabilize that. I won't say the region, but definitely the Ukraine. So, okay, that's that. China. Everybody's like, oh, is China going to do this? And I said, I don't think China wants to invade anyone right now. China does not know. Okay, speculation. This is me. Go off on your own. Supposedly, China does not participate with other countries in quote unquote war games or military exercises. You got to look at that. Now go do your own research, look that for your own. Suppose it's because the discipline of their troops is so bad. I took that as propaganda on our side for years. We would see how it is. Supposedly, they have a lot of people, and if they're conscripting, meaning forcing people into the military, you're gonna have that attitude of people not wanting to be there versus a completely all volunteer force. Okay. Even with an all volunteer force, you got people who don't want to be there. so my thought, what clicked to me was, dude, China wouldn't be, if China felt like they were in a place to be ready to attack Taiwan or to escalate with India or go in any direction, any type of way with any enemy, they would not be cracking down on their citizens in terms of stopping the children from watching pop culture things that make them effeminate or playing video games. The only reason why, think of it, if you're in this country, now speculation land, who would do that? A boomer. And why? Because they think the young kids is weak. And why do they think they weak? Because they feel like when they're out there doing military drills, they weak. And are you going to go to war if you think your people weak? No. You're going to initiate something to get, if you had the power, to initiate to get them stronger so that when it's time to go to war, they ready. So probably not for at least a generation before they really think they got the people ready to go to war. Because war is a different animal. All of the planning and fighting and playing around, when until you see people get blown up all around you, is that where you're going to see where your discipline is in terms of your command. So just wanted to give a little bit of my thoughts on that, because it's just been sitting there looking at this like all of this pump faking. At the end of the day, I don't think neither one of them really want that like that. But so we'll see. Anyway, going into this, I meant to say this from the beginning. We're already almost 10 minutes in. Don't worry about these stupid ups and downs with the market. At the end of the day, it will go up. Period. Over time, hey, tomorrow, no, maybe not, no, maybe not, no, maybe tomorrow, hey, who knows? I can't say no, I'm saying no, but not like that. Maybe 2 months, I don't know. 3 months, I don't know. Year, 2 years, 3 years, 4, 5. Yeah, it'll be up. 5 years will be up. Yeah, wherever we at today, if you have a good project, you're in. Now some may go up a lot between now and the 5 and not make it all the way to 5. So be mindful of that. But the big dogs in the game, they'll be here 5 years from now. So Fidelity, expect more countries to acquire Bitcoin, citing very high stakes game theory. Fidelity Digital Assets, a subsidiary of Fidelity Investments, published a report on crypto trends and their potential future impact earlier this month. Among the trends discussed in the report is the adoption of cryptocurrency by sovereign nations. This past year saw some major moves by world governments with regard to digital assets. We talk about this, and I mean, you know, look, is it validation? Is it selection bias? Do I look for articles that just feed my narrative? No, I try to look for other ones as well. But when you start to go through them, you see the holes in them. Now, okay, we'll start bringing out, and plus sometimes I'm thinking in my head, because, you know, I'm like, do I read articles that go against my narrative 100%? But do I present them to you? Not always, because sometimes I don't want to feed negative misinformation nonsense. Or just, and sometimes, you know, I'll read you something and I'll point out how I disagree with the opinion of that person writing it. So, I mean, look, it is what it is. They just said this year saw some major moves by world governments with regard to digital assets, like China banned and El Salvador took the opposite approach and made it legal tender. With these developments, they realized that, and I like this, an outright ban will be difficult to achieve at best, and if successful, will lead to a significant loss of wealth and opportunity. So they look at it as that countries are looking at, so when we talk about game theory is, and it all boils down to, but what if they do it? But what if they do it though? And so, you know, and I mean, look, you can see it from when you little kids and, you know, one kid, you get one marshmallow and another get 2 marshmallows. Hey, they're not trying to hear that. That's going to be a problem. You know, everyone has to have equal amount. So that's why sometimes you'll see when little kids rush in, they'll start to, you know, they're not sure how much their peer's going to grab. So they start trying to grab as much as they can, because that way they feel like I got my fair share, or not even a fair share. They know it's unfair, but I was not left out. Even, you know, some kids that have the mindset of I'll divvy out what I have because I'll be fair. And countries will think like that as well. And that's how they'll think with Bitcoin, that, well, at some point they're going to like, well, they're doing it. And, you know, people keep talking about it. It may be. What is it? Oh, okay. So, in other words, a small cost can be paid today as a hedge compared to a potentially much larger cost years in the future. And so, yeah, just saying, Fidelity expects more countries to get into it. Fidelity, one of the largest asset managers in the world. Does it discuss that somewhere here? Blah, blah, blah. How much assets they have? All right. Well, this is an interesting one. And I may butcher this. Told you I butcher things a lot. But Rival, the startup. Now, first off, I didn't even know this other thing was a thing, which is criminal in and of itself. Not in a bad way, criminal, but, you know, I'll get to it in a second. But, and I'll explain what I mean when I get to it in the store. And you'll probably be like, what? The same way I was. But this is interesting. Rival, the startup bringing crypto into the courtroom. So investors can buy tokens in class action lawsuits and get a payout if the defendant wins. So filing a lawsuit against, filing a lawsuit against a major corporation or entity is cost prohibitive for most Americans due to court and lawyer costs, but new tech startup Rival has an innovative solution to that problem. The company allows investors to purchase and trade crypto tokens associated with civil lawsuits. What we do is tell the story, vet the legal claim, and then allow the public to invest and give the funds to go and litigate your case. Do you know this has already been happening? Here it is that this previously unavailable to the public. that you had to be an accredited, if you were an accredited until Rival came along, only accredited investors, wealthy investors who trade securities that aren't registered with financial regulators were allowed to invest in litigation funding. So accredited investors have already been able to crowdsource and invest in litigation funding. Now, through cryptocurrencies, and people don't understand, well, what's the point of cryptocurrencies? It allows everyone to participate in all of these systems. There are no special rules, because that's the most important thing, baby. You know what I mean? Jump on in. And everybody is. And now you can be geared up when you in there. The next Nike shoes can be worn, then purchased in the metaverse in Nike Land, the city of sports. So Nike has built a store in Roblox. And according to Morgan Stanley, for the fashion and luxury sector, revenues from virtual reality could amount by 2030 to $50 billion. Basically, you're going to have a digital avatar in the future, several digital avatars, representations of yourself in the quote unquote metaverse or metaverses that go around. You'll be able to know, and your avatars are going to have almost similar stuff to what you got in the real world. Crib, or a place to stay, transportation. I'm gonna now use generic terms instead of just, breaking this. Hey, you gonna have to have a whip. You may have. I got a couple hoverboards already, ready for the metaverse. You got to have transportation. You got to have crib. You go not have to have, if you choose to participate. Probably be a lot of it. Maybe we'll be. So people go work in it. Literally make money that is their money that will sustain them in quote unquote the real world. Anyway, it sounds crazy to say. I tell people like, look, this ain't me. Like, hey, everyone should do this. Everyone should do this. It's, oh, wow, that's happening? Well, how do I position myself to make sure, I'm not left out the loop at the end of the day? So, how will they get these earnings? Companies will be able to use these places to advertise. They'll have real showrooms where they can display their products. They could be able to do drops. Like, you could be able to have, hey, you buy this, and then NFT of this shoe here, we'll send it to your crib. These exclusives. So instead of now y'all lining up out in some store somewhere for hours, we gonna make y'all line up online for hours. You better, if you lose connection, you lose your place in line. You get in the queue, you be lined up in the queue, see your number, and you may get it. Other people will drop out. You got 1 week to stay. They man ass gonna go nutty. You can then purchase objects and gadgets after having seen and virtually worn them. I do not dismiss. So imagine, look, you probably could do it now. I mean, Apple has the LiDAR. You can take a 3D scan, a model of your body, be able to try stuff on. I mean, they already have all this stuff. Try stuff on, and then, like I said, buy that NFT, that's your clothes. For that moment, because then, you can't sell it and be like, oh, I will send you some dirty shoes with this NFT. People may still want the NFT, even without the physical object. Never know. Because the NFT may represent the shoe in the metaverse. And they be like, look, I can care less. You can have the real ones. I want to wear them in the metaverse. Give me them exclusives in the metaverse. So boom, 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 boom. Resale. And if you didn't know that if you create an NFT, whoever's the creator can make it where they get a percentage of each sale going forward. So you make an NFT that's worth $10, it sells for $100, you may get 1% on that. So 1% of the 10%, $10 one be a penny. I'm not a penny, but a dime. Then it sells for $100. You get $1 in the future, sell for $1,000. You get $10, and then as it goes on, however many times. If you sell 100 times a day for $100 each time, people just keep sending that one back and forth for whatever reason. You get $1 each time. Each time throughout perpetuity, you get $1 or whatever. Whatever percentage. But I'm just giving an example. So anyway, Nike. Feet first. Anybody all paranoid, like, oh my God, it's crashing. The economy. The economy ain't going nowhere. It may go down. It may stay down for a little bit. It will go back up. You should have either cash set aside right now or means to generate cash over the next several months, however long it's down and why it's down. And I'm gonna be hammering this point home, on you. This is the time to be buying. This is where you should be hyped about what you can buy, not when when everything is all green and all is going up and all expensive. You're like, man, I can only buy one of them now. Now you can buy 4 or 5 of them. This is the time to get hyped. Get hyped. I don't know what I'm gonna call this one yet, but I want it to be somewhere in that theme of be excited now. It may be that. Oh, this is beautiful. I love this, guys. I think I mentioned this before, but this is going to be amazing in a couple months. If you're not aware of the James Webb Space Telescope, so on Christmas Day, this has been going on. NASA designed, first thought of, designed, built, and we now just put it in orbit. It's been about maybe like 23, 30 some odd years. When was this first thought up? This is just talking about it getting there. I think this doesn't talk about the history of it. Anyway, so the James Webb Space Telescope was thought up, and this has been a literally several decade long process, but it is finally on Monday, January 24th, 2022, reached its final place in orbit, which is in the second, I think I butchered this the other day. I think I did much time I said it. The Lagrange point. It's in L2, which is the one, it's a place where the sun and the earth gravities are at a place where they almost don't quite cancel each other, but they balance each other to where you have to use minimum effort to kind of stay at that place. And so it'll always be lockstep with the earth. I'm going to show an animation of how it's going to move at least for the next 10 or 20 years while it has fuel to keep it in place. And I'm going to run it back when it gets to the end. So it took off on Christmas Day from Earth, and it's about 1 million miles away. And it got into such a good orbit, let's rerun that back, that it had fuel probably, they said, for more years than they thought. So that may mean it may last about 20, 30 years. And as you can see, it's at this place where the sun and the earth's gravity balance each other to where you use minimum energy to stay in this kind of circular pattern, being able to stay, with it one side always facing the sun and earth, so the earth is shielding most of the sun from it, but it's far enough away that the heat from the earth and the moon is not impacting it. It always has the one side facing the earth, so the equipment won't go through temperature changes like, up in space when you have the rotation around the planet, you get hot and cold, and that makes the pieces go in and out. So this will have, the temperatures would be relatively stable for the life of it, which should, make sure things run smoothly. And it's going to be able to look out and see some of the earliest light of our universe and start to give us some just ideas and notions of what that looked like. So that's amazing. I mean, I'm super excited. Some of the pictures that came out, like you see of the Eagle Nebula, it's amazing, of what I've always been a fan of it. So super excited that everything went very smooth to get to James Webb. It was very difficult because they had to go and, we don't have anything that big to put something like that out there. So I had to go and unfold itself out in space. For all of that to go smoothly, for it to be in place now, for everything now just to start to get itself. Now, look, still got some time for everything to get calibrated and for it to start working. When Hubble, it got out there smoothly, but then we realized at the time, something was wrong. And we had a Hubble repair mission. That was a big thing. Can't go out there and repair that. Not yet. Maybe we have some technologies that will. But so super excited. I love the ingenuity of human beings, and just really proud of us as people to get stuff like this done and be thinking like this. And even in the midst of all this garbage that we go through at times, you just gotta Be happy about the wins. So with that, I love you. You love you. God loves us. And that's all that matters.